I've never been in a classroom where I've said things are starting and everybody actually took a seat and silence reigned. And well, I'm not going to really start out, but our wonderful dean is going to make a few remarks, Martha Minow, and then I'm going to make a few remarks, and then we're going to get started. So thank you, Martha.
Welcome. You can say something back. Okay, great. This is a great, great day, and to mark the anniversary of truly one of the most amazing organizations I know anywhere, is a thrill for me. The Harvard Immigration and Refugee Clinical Program, 30 years old, has made such a difference in the world, made an enormous difference in the lives of those that it represents, made such a difference to the students here who are inspired by the work and learn from the work. What I want to just say very briefly is that it's always struck me as curious that these are called law schools. Why are they called law schools? Why aren't they called justice schools? And I've been asking that for a long time. And I don't have an answer, but I do know that we have justice schools within the school. And the Harvard Immigration Refugee Clinical Program is a justice school. It stands for human dignity. It stands for creativity. It stands for social justice and access to justice. And the combination of direct representation, legislative work, public and private partnerships, partnerships with scholars, is reflected in today's program. It's a special honor for me to be able to say a few words. I was here when the program was created. I was 12. Debbie was 11. But I was a relatively new member of the faculty, trying to figure out what mattered in the world. Later in my own work, I ended up being a consultant to UNHCR and learned what I had to offer them, if anything, from conversations with Debbie and others. The work representing often the most vulnerable individuals, but also often the most resilient individuals, is the work of this clinic. We are so honored to have leaders here to celebrate this event. And I just want to myself recognize Chief Judge Katzman for his remarkable leadership in creating the ideal of access to justice and the highest standards. Judge Fetter, Judge Noonan, you will be hearing from these great leaders as well. The law of asylum used to be an oxymoron, right? You couldn't say there was a law of asylum. Increasingly now you can. And because of the work of this clinical program, there actually is recognition of gender-based persecution. There actually is a treatise on the law of asylum, Debbie Anker's remarkable work. The clinic is not resting on laurels. I actually look forward to the 60th anniversary, although I don't know if I'll be here. But just as an example, new courses under its auspices, Crimmigration, Trauma and Refugee Reading Group. The ingenuity of those who are involved in the program and those who are alums of the program is really inspiring to all of us. I'm so glad that Margaret Stock is here, whose work on the military access vital to the national interest is a beacon representing the recognition that those who are caught in the immigration system but are serving this country actually deserve better. I've said enough, but I do have to say, I can't leave without saying at least a word about Debbie Anker. This organization is Debbie Anker's creation. It reflects not just her brilliance and not just her tenacity, but her humanity. When I walked in this morning, I saw somebody hugging everybody, and it was Debbie. Debbie hugs everybody and also pushes at the same time. And Debbie's ability to build relationships within the clinic, beyond, in the world infuses this clinic with what I think justice at its best really is, which is the recognition of the humanity of the others. So, Debbie Anker.
So I was going to give a biblical quote, but I was told not to. So I just can say I'm just filled with joy to have you all here and to see you all here. And we had an incident this weekend where one of our clients got stuck in the Netherlands. She was on her way to study, a refugee client in the UK, and despite the fact that the UK laws say that she can enter and come to study, they decided not to admit her, and she was stuck in the Netherlands. And over the weekend, Phil Torrey, who heads our immigration program, and she was his client and Emily Lung's client. So her mother was Emily Lung's client. So I started sending panicked emails to everybody I knew in Europe, which I thought was just like 2 people. And this army of European refugee advocates flooded us with emails. Somebody was going to meet her in the Netherlands. Somebody was going to get in touch with somebody from the foreign ministry. Somebody was going to represent her in the UK. Unfortunately, the Netherlands authorities kicked her out and sent her home here, where she's very safe. So, but it really made me realize we have an army that we can mobilize all over the world, and that we've built that. So I grew up in the civil rights days, and Martin Luther King is in my blood, and so I'll read you, this is how we start our policy, our immigration and social change policy class so I'll read you one of my favorite quotes, which I think represents the work of everybody here. Human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals who are willing to be co-workers with God. Without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the insurgent and primitive forces of irrational emotionalism and social stagnation. We are always challenged to help time and to realize that the time is always right to do right. Martha mentioned the growth of the clinic. I think she's mentioned everything I would have mentioned, and we have a brochure in the book, so in your material, so I don't need to go into it. We started our clinic here at Harvard. We have a relationship with Greater Boston Legal Services, a partnership with them, and we have half our clinic there and half our clinic here, and that legal services connection is really in our blood as well. But under Martha's leadership, we've grown incredibly, and I could not thank her enough or say enough about her. We got a social worker, we got our immigration clinic, we got our trauma and refugee course, we got the student group, the Harvard Immigration Project, which Phil supervises. I hope there are no hip students here who realize they're being supervised. Anyway, that we were able to hire somebody to really bring them into our fold, the student group, and all that's happened in the few years that Martha's been dean, and I can't remember a reasonable request I asked that I didn't get. And Martha, as you know, has, in addition to a deep commitment to social justice, she's a deep commitment to legal services. She's vice chair of the board of the Legal Services Corporation and co-chair of its pro bono task force. And she's been with us every step of the way. She's compassionate. She has this strong commitment to social justice and legal services. I'm just going to thank a few people. Lisa Dealey, you have to stand or something. Or wave. Yay! Lisa's the assistant dean of the clinical and pro bono programs, and I could go on, but I won't. But her wisdom has has, whenever I need wise advice, I go to Lisa. About everything, I think. Alexa Shabakoff is here, and she heads up our... She's the associate director, assistant dean for public service, and does the amazing work of finding our students wonderful jobs and advising them. Is Judy here, Murciano? No, she's actually on a rare vacation. Oh my God. Well, Judy Murciano is the associate director and director of fellowship. She's also gotten our students every single fellowship we've worked hard to get them. And people who know Judy, I can't believe she's on vacation. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. She takes Abby home at night, when the lights are on at 3 in the morning. And I want to thank John and Nancy, who've been my cohorts, yes, in life and in building this clinical program. And of course, our amazing staff, Sabi Ardalan, where are you? She's outside working. That's Abby. And Phil is here, who does our immigration work. And this is sort of bittersweet, but I'm so glad the sweet came in with the bitter. It was a struggle to the end, but we're losing they're moving on. We're not losing. They're moving on with their lives. 2 people who've been with us and a vital part of us. Emily Lung, who's going to, I shouldn't announce where she's going to work because she hasn't really decided, supposedly. But she's got some wonderful offers. And Palmer Lawrence, who's going to go to join Judge Katzman's creation, the Immigration Justice Corps. And Lila, our social worker, gift from Martha. I have to thank Matt Mueller, who couldn't be here today. He really founded this clinic. Is Bonnie here? Okay. Well, anyway, Bonnie was our first program assistant, and she and Matt really built up this program, or kept it together at its beginnings when we were extraordinary. They did the job of 6 people. And an angel came from heaven when Bonnie left, and her name is Lucy Cummings, and where is she? It's our program director. And I want to thank our interns, Carolyn, Kate, Ida, and Jody, for doing incredible work in preparing for this program. There's so many of the greatest thinkers and doers of immigration and asylum law here today, and I would have to thank most of this room, and I'm not going to. But it means so much to all of us that you're here at this very special moment. I'm going to go over a few procedural matters, and I'm going to mess them up, and then Lucy's going to correct me. But the schedule for today's events can be found in your folder. There are articles about the clinic and a brochure about the clinic are also in the folder. There's also a map of the HLS campus. If you need assistance throughout the day, feel free to ask one of our staff members who are wearing a green ribbon on their name tag, the most prominent of whom is Philip Anker, who's right over there. The first 2 rows are reserved for speakers. We invite everybody, I have to read this because I have no idea what it means. We invite everyone to tweet about today's conference with the hashtag. I had to stop myself from saying hashish. It's hashtag HIRC30. HIRC30 hashtag. Okay. And we have a full and exciting program, so everybody's going to sort of speak fast and share their thoughts with you. Judge Stahl, unfortunately, cannot be with us, but he's with us in spirit, and Judge Katzman's going to fill in some of the things that he was going to talk about. And Judge Noonan will be appearing by video conferencing. Judge Noonan, I'll introduce him later, but he wrote the original decision recognizing gender-based asylum as political opinion, and and he did it without anybody briefing it to him before we had thought about it, so he's one of my heroes, and he agreed to come by video conferencing, so I'm thrilled. Anyway, we're going to get started, so thank you again, all. Our first panel? Yeah, you want to? Oh, wait a second. Somebody from West wanted to make a statement. Yeah.
How can I follow Debbie here? Geez. My name is Tom O'Callahan. I'm the local West representative for Cambridge and Boston. I am honored to be outside selling Debbie's new book, which I'd love all of you to buy. There's a 20% discount outside for today, so please come by. I'll be here till probably 11:30, 11:45 today, so when you have a break, please come by and check out the wonderful book by Debbie, okay? Thank you.